This is absolutely hilarious. Am I the only person that thinks this is hilarious? I'm trying to. Is this the only time we've ever seen a situation like this happen, where a player has been suspended not for a game, for a half? She's suspended for a half. I don't think I've ever seen anything like it. She is suspended for a half a basketball game.
The Chicago Sky locker room has finally cracked, and Angel Reese is at the center of it. What began as frustration over a losing season has exploded into a full-blown meltdown, forcing the franchise to confront the reality that their so-called cornerstone has become the biggest problem in the building.
According to the report, Reese said she doesn't believe her teammates Rachel Banham or Haley Van Lith are capable of leading a playoff team. Guard Ariel Atkins is another player on the Sky's roster with WNBA championship experience. Tyler Marsh said, "We are aware of it." What Angel Reese said, "We're addressing it in-house as currently speaking. That's where we'll stay right now."
The same player who once declared herself on Caitlin Clark's level is now the perfect example of what happens when ego outweighs teamwork and bold public comments end up burning bridges behind closed doors.
Did self run off of sports. The entire team has seen Reese's comments, and they're basically unhappy with the direct attacks. They are even planning a team meeting to talk about it. We'll read you some of the excerpts, which does kind of not make her team look good. One of which say, "We can't rely on Courtney," that's Courtney Vandersloot, "to come back at the age that she's at. I know she'll be a great asset for us, but we can't rely on that. We need someone probably a little younger with some experience, somebody who's been playing the game and is willing to compete for a championship and has done it before."
Angel Reese's latest controversy goes far beyond her game. It's about character, leadership, and the respect every teammate deserves. In a stunning act of self-sabotage, Reese went public with comments so damaging that the Sky had no choice but to suspend her for conduct harmful to the team. But that suspension was only the spark. What followed was an organizational revolt that now leaves her future in Chicago hanging by a thread.
Also, you guys remember the story. Angel Reese calling out her teammates, calling out the front office. You're a bum, you're a bum, you're a bum. You're a bum. Yeah, you ladies won't do it for me. Coach Marsh, can you please coach harder? Yeah, Angel Reese. 48 hours later, already backtracking on those statements, already moonwalking like Michael Jackson. Michael Jackson, he'd probably be proud how quickly Angel Reese is moonwalking from the comments she made. And I have an exclusive.
The breaking point came when Reese told the Chicago Tribune that the team needs great players and that she wouldn't settle for what they had this year. To outsiders, it sounded like competitive fire. But to her teammates, it was the ultimate betrayal, a public shot that basically said none of them were worthy of sharing the court with her.
Some of the other stuff that she said was also pretty bad. Like, I'm not settling for the same shit we did this year. We have to get good players. We have to get great players. That's a non-negotiable for me. I am willing and wanting to play with the best. And however I can help to get the best here, that's what I'm going to do this offseason. So it's going to be very, very important this offseason to make sure that we attract the best of the best, because we can't settle for what we have this year. So her saying we can't settle for what we have this year, that is basically like a slap in the face to Becca Allen. That is a slap in the face to Rachel Banham. That is a slap in the face to Ariel Atkins.
Rachel Banham, the veteran guard who has poured years into this franchise, was stunned by Reese's remarks. And Ariel Atkins, the teammate who had stood by her through every controversy, finally decided she'd had enough.
Chicago Sky values safety, respect, and well-being of every player. We're committed to accountability so our players can stay focused on playing basketball. Because of statements made by Angel Reese during league-mandated media, I've never seen this before, but she is getting suspended for a half. Not a game. Not a game. One half. One half she is getting suspended for. That is absolutely hilarious.
If you are enjoying, please subscribe. Reese's great players comment wasn't just a vague thought on roster building. It was a direct shot at the very teammates who fought beside her during one of the toughest seasons in franchise history. She openly questioned whether Rachel Banham or Haley Van Lith had what it takes to lead a playoff run. She dismissed 36-year-old Courtney Vandersloot, saying the team couldn't count on someone her age and needed a younger, more seasoned option. And these weren't private conversations behind closed doors. They were public takedowns, dressed up as basketball analysis.
To be here for the rest of my career, but if things don't pan out, obviously I might have to move in a different direction and do what's best for me. And listen, I totally get that, because if you are somebody with a lot of star power, you don't want your career just like rotting away in a place, especially the Sky. The GM, Jeff Pagliocca, he absolutely sold the Sky's future. He traded away draft picks for this like win now mentality. And who he drafted? Now, I don't want to speak bad about Haley Van Lith, but she has not had a mentor to actually mentor her to be any proper type of point guard. So she's kind of been flying in the dark. She hasn't exactly proven her worth in the dark.
The most damning part of Reese's public tirade wasn't just the words, it was the delivery. While Caitlin Clark spent her rookie season absorbing hard fouls, facing hostile crowds, and enduring relentless media pressure, all while pulling her team upward, Reese went the opposite direction. Instead of lifting, she leveled. Instead of building, she burned. Clark turned adversity into momentum for her teammates, while Reese chose the nuclear option, tossing her own locker room under the bus the moment the season soured. The difference in leadership couldn't be more glaring or more damaging.
This is the reason I have spent the last few years referring to the WNBA as a dump. This is the reason I don't feel bad when I refer to the WNBA as a toxic turd. Not only have they damn near ruined their opportunity with Caitlin Clark, the dump diver they chose to support, the pretend basketball player they have spent the last 2 years begging you to support. They desperately want her to be accepted. They are desperate to make her a star. Not only has she been rejected by normal people, Angel Reese is now being rejected and potentially kicked off of her own team.
The fallout was immediate and impossible to ignore. What should have been a united locker room in the face of a losing season fractured overnight? Players who had already endured a year of frustration now found themselves battling something far worse, betrayal from within. Ariel Atkins, normally the glue that kept tensions from boiling over, openly challenged Reese in that meeting, stripping away any illusion that her words could be brushed off as competitive passion. And Banham's weary response carried more weight than anger ever could. When a veteran who has poured years into a franchise says she's over it, that's not indifference, it's surrender. Reese hadn't just attacked her teammates' abilities, she had eroded the trust that makes a team function. And once that bond is broken, there's rarely a way back.
Angel Reese, earlier in the week, in an interview, threw her Chicago Sky teammates under a bus and then ran the bus over them and then backed up the bus, bouncing over them again, and then proceeded to drive over them one more good time just to be sure that their carcasses were no longer twitching. It was one of the most me, selfish ass interviews I've ever heard from any athlete trashing her very own team.